All right, now we get to have so much fun and paint our beautiful hands you guys made. Getting these out of the kiln, I have looked at all of them and I was so impressed and blown away by your creativity. Like you guys did so many cool things. Every time I looked at a new one, I was just like, wow, this is cool and woo, this is unique. And I just want to congratulate you guys for doing such a great job. Um, these are, some of them are really a little fragile. This one broke because the fingernail was pushed down too hard and just went through the clay a little too much and made it fragile. I saw lots of them that were fragile. We can glue back on the fingers, and some of you have redone them because they were too fragile. So they still are fragile. Sending them through the kiln makes them bond better, but they are still fragile. Just like if your mom's coffee cup. If you dropped your mom's cup, it would break on the ground. So keep that in mind when you are doing these hands. The last option for coloring these has a step where you need to rinse them in the sink. So just be really careful when you're walking them to the sink. And when you're painting them on your desk, put them on your paper towel. Or if your fingers are really fragile, if you're going to decide to use oil pastels and you need to push down on them, maybe hold it in your hand to give your clay some support. I don't want them to break any more than they already have. So just kind of be mindful that these are fragile. So when you are moving them or painting them, just make sure there's support, especially because they have a curve, that they need a little more support so they don't break. Because if I push on this too hard, especially if the fingers are really fragile, they will break off. So I'm gonna do 3 options for you today. You will need, well, if you want to do oil pastels, you'll need your watercolors, oil pastels. These are the 2 options that we're going to have today. And you'll also need a cup of water if you're going to do some watercolors. So clay is porous, kind of like if you draw on your sidewalk or your driveway. The oil pastels is kind of like the chalk. And if you use water or liquid paint on your sidewalk or your driveway, it soaks in. And clay is a lot like that. So when you're using your watercolors, it's going to soak in and it will spread. A lot like when we do art with oil pastels and with watercolors, the oil pastels will resist, but the watercolor will spread and move. So we're going to do kind of one with just one, another one with just the oil pastels, and then we're going to do, the third one's going to be a combination of both, which is super cool. So you guys get to decide what you want to do. So when you have the supplies you want to do, I will go one the next to the next. They kind of build on each other, so it'll be easy. So when you guys are ready, we'll get going. Okay. So we're going to start with just watercolors so you guys can see what that looks like. So you'll need your cup of water and your watercolors. So watercolors, we've done this before where watercolors, the more water you use, the lighter the color, and the drier that your watercolors are, the darker the color. So on the back of here, you can see the darkness. So here's the lighter, this has less color in it, and then this is really more dry, this blue. And as you can see in the lettering, so it'll be the same on the front. When you're using watercolor, it moves a lot because it's liquid. So when I brush my brush here, it filled up this O with that color because water moves. And I did it over here and it kind of filled up these lines with my blue also. So understand that you can color the whole thing one color. You can do the hearts and the circles or designs or whatever you have in there, different colors, but understand that when you do the other background color, it will go into that. They will blend and mix. So on here I did just blue, so you can see what just one color looks like. And it's pretty because you've got darks and lights, and when you blend it, it will have texture and it will have different colors. Understand that when I spray these with a sealer, it's going to change the color to be a little darker. This part right here I have sprayed to seal the watercolor because it comes off your hands really easy. So I've sprayed it with kind of a shiny glossy sealer. So understand that it's going to change your color a little bit. It's just going to get a little bit darker. And then the lighter parts, they both get a little bit darker. So just understand that your color will be slightly darker after I spray them. So I think just watercolor looks super cool. You can do just one color. I think that looks awesome. So if that's what you want to do, great. Make sure if you're doing just a solid color, you get your whole hand. This is the back of my hand, so I want to use this as an example for the front. But make sure you get the edges and in the fingers. So this is going to take you some time. So spend the time to do a really good job, especially if you're going to give this to your mom or your dad, or just for you. It's going to look super cool if you take some time. So make sure you get all of it. It's going to be a minute because you're going to need a lot of paint and a lot of water. Then you've got your paper towel here if you decide you want to change colors, you can do that also. I'm going to show you just a little bit on here of how the colors mix and blend. You can use your the back of your tray if you wanted like a lighter blue. You can add some colors together, but you do have a purple. But if you want to mix a few colors, you can do that too up here. If you might make a kind of a blue-green color, you can do that up there. So I'm just going to start kind of with red so you can see it. And I'm going to color this heart red. And you can see how light my color is and how it just pulls into that crack, just sucked all that water off of my paintbrush. And this is going to take some good hand-eye coordination. Hold your paintbrush like your pencil and just kind of lightly touch on it. And clay really sucks the water in. So, if you are slow and careful, you can do these shapes and they will look really nice. And then I want to rinse my brush off because I want to go to a different color. So I'm going to get it wet. I'm going to rub it on my paper towel. I'm going to get it wet again. And I'm going to maybe I'm going to go to my yellow. You want to do your lighter colors first because they tend to get muddy from the water. So I'm going to do these dots up here. And then I'm going to paint the background and kind of show you what happens with that. So I'm going to do these dots. And maybe I'll do my fingernail up here. And like I said before, you can just go for it. Just pick a green, pick a blue, and just go do the whole thing. So either option is fine, whatever you want to take the time to do. So now I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to show you what happens going around it. So you want to be really careful because this blue will suck into my yellow. You see how it's kind of blending and moving around? You have to take a lot of time on this step to really go slowly around the edges. You see how the cracks is sucking in all that liquid, and it will blend a little bit and it might move into your yellow a little bit, and yellow and blue make green. So on my dot here, as you can see, my blue has gotten onto my yellow and it turned it green. So just understand that when you're doing this, that it's going to be hard. This is going to take you some time. So take the time. If you want to do this way, understand that I'm touching this blue on my red a little bit, and now I've got a purple edge, which I still think it looks great. Make sure that you also get all the white covered in. So that's just kind of an example of how to do different colors. And here's an example of just one color. Okay, so when you are finished with all your color, with just your watercolors, set them back on the tray so I can spray them and get them ready to come back to you. So great job today. I'm excited to see what colors you guys chose to use.